Hello everybody and welcome back again to another episode of Dragon Age Inquisition, in which we will speak to our newest team member Dorian. But before I'm going to do that, as usual, let me check back on the war counts, and I'm pretty sure all my advisors have returned from missions. So let's see what they have done. Yeah, right. There are some missions here. Let's have a look at that. Answer a request from Hasmal. Commander Cullen, your men arrived this morning. It's good to see that Inquisition still trusts Templars to perform their duties. Once we ensure that Hasmal's circle is stable and that no dangerous items fall into the hands of unsuspecting scavengers, we will join you ourselves. Knight Commander Bryson. Nice. That is actually exactly what I hoped would happen. Okay, an ally from Starkhaven. I look forward to future collaboration with the Inquisition. Please accept this gift from the Val family's coffers. May it be put towards relief efforts in Haven. In Andras's love, Prince Sebastian. So he sent us some gold. Alright, thank you, Sebastian. Right, I got this mission from Krem in the last episode, but... Right, there is another one here. Truth out there, Lake Celestin. Nightingale, orders received, will update Fisher. Okay, so I guess this will continue later. But there was something over here, right? This one, Grand Cleric Iona. And I think I had already decided that I wanted Cullen to do this. A display of force and a warning are all we need. She's not a fool and will realize the Templar Order is no longer protects her. Yeah, I mean, we had Josephine deal with a Chantry before, and it worked on a good amount of them, but apparently not on this particular cleric. And it feels a lot like something that Freya would do, you know, not try diplomacy again if, you know, we already tried it. But if that fails, let's send in the man with a hammer. I mean, I could also send Liliana, but I assume she wants to kill her, and that is again a little bit extreme, maybe. It's a bit... You have to consider what sort of image that casts of the Inquisition that ever got out. But yeah, let's take Cullen for this. And then we have this one. Investigate Tharenfall Redoubt. The Templars at Tharenfall Redoubt went quite well. The Inquisition dealt with Redcliffe. I'd be happy to take the charges out to investigate the area. Lieutenant Cremisius Aclassi. Huh. I kinda would have liked to have something like that before the Redcliffe mission, you know? To see what they're doing there and maybe give me some reason why to pursue the Templars. But I mean, I did ask him about how we could use the charges before that mission, and he didn't actually give me this mission until after I had already committed myself to the mages. So I guess there's just no way to find out what they're doing before you actually already chose. So what do my advisors say? I can send the charges in with Inquisition troops to bolster their numbers. This calls for a light touch. My scouts can make a distraction, letting the charges sneak in close. Liliana is a lot faster, and... I mean, I remember that Krem said that the charges don't really want to work like an army, and this is kinda like being an army. So let's have Liliana take this.
Let's see what we have.
And yeah, I guess I can send Josephine gather
Let us
more
begin.
coin. There we go. Everyone's busy, and we can go and find Dorian and speak to him. Vivienne approves. I don't know what she approves of, but fair enough. Alright, Dorian is somewhere over here near Solus. Yep, here he is. Let's speak to
The
him.
Inquisition supports free mages. What's next? Elves running Hallamsharal? Cows milking farmers?
I'll think of something.
Give me time. I'm sure I'll surprise you.
I suspect that's untrue. Unless you strip yourself naked and allow the Chantry to flog you into repentance. Now that would surprise me. I do wonder if you've considered what this support of yours will do. For mages in general, I mean. The Inquisition is seen as an authority. You've given southern mages license to, well, be like mages back home.
Well, so long as they're like you.
If that means they're anything like you, I approve.
Ha! There aren't many mages back home like me.
I'd believe that.
I never fit in. Bloodstains are so difficult to clean, you see.
So we're doomed to a future of blood magic then.
Not at first. But you'd be a fool not to see where this could lead. Thing is, the Imperium was once just like the South. Templars, proper circles, all that rot. Then it changed. By inches. Not that this is reason to oppress us. Still, my homeland should be a cautionary tale, not a source of inspiration.
Alright, let's investigate. Yeah, tell me about yourself.
It occurs to me that I barely know anything about you.
Beyond my being a mage from Tevinter, you mean?
Beyond that, yes.
And beyond my being so charming and well-dressed, which is obvious to anyone.
Speaking of well-dressed, I actually crafted a new armor, or well, coat for him. And I like how ridiculously convoluted his clothing looks like. Well, it's obvious to me.
I'm well aware of your finer qualities. Believe me.
Of course you are. You're a discerning and intelligent woman, after all. Now, what was I talking about? Ah, yes, me. I am the scion of House Parvis, a product of generations of careful breeding and the repository of its hopes and dreams. Naturally, I despised it all. The lies, the scheming, the illusions of supremacy. That's Tevinter in a nutshell, isn't it? Needless to say, my family was not happy with my choices.
I see. So your family is angry with you.
Why would your family be upset with your choices?
Because I rejected their idyllic plan. If they had their way, by now I'd be married to some unlucky girl from a powerful family. We'd live in luxurious despair, despising each other as I waited to take my father's place in the magisterium. I declined the honor, and thus it's best I'm far from home. Less of an embarrassment that way, you see.
I see. So you don't like Tevinter?
I'm getting the impression that you don't care much for your homeland.
On the contrary, I care for my homeland a great deal. There's so much potential. Sadly, we squander it. We refuse to acknowledge how far we've fallen because pretending is easier. We pretend the Qunari can be beaten. We pretend that we're superior to everyone, even our own people. Not everyone feels that way. I don't. Sadly, we're the minority.
But why do you care?
It just seems... So much of what you say about the Imperium is entirely negative.
It might sound that way. For all our faults, my people have many virtues. We are laden with history and culture. Tevinter is where Thedas truly began, remember? We treasure our past and preserve it. You can walk down a side street and find nothing built during the modern ages. And despite appearances, we care. Deeply. About everything. We have no reserve, not in war and not in love. If I truly believed my homeland was beyond all hope, I wouldn't miss it so much.
I understand. So why not go back?
Why remain with the Inquisition? Why not go back to Tevinter?
I'm not exactly welcome back home. Not that it matters. I'm quite accustomed to being a pariah. It adds to my charm.
I see.
I can do more for Tevinter here. If the Venatori succeed, it'll set my homeland back 1,000 years. I'm sure some magisters would disagree. But that's why we kill them.
Alright, so what's that about careful breeding?
What did you mean by generations of careful breeding?
The great families of Tevinter don't have children. They refine traits, weed out the undesirable, and promote the rest. My mother was chosen for my father because magic runs strongly in her blood. Never mind that they loathed each other. They wanted a son who could become Archon to make House Parvis the envy of the Imperium. They got me. A cautionary tale that you should be careful what you wish for.
I see. I think Freya can understand that quite well. I can assume... What are you doing over there, my friend? I can assume that besides becoming a Chantry sister or a Templar, marrying some powerful noble would have been another option for her, and I guess that's not really what she wanted either.
I think I've heard enough.
That's too bad. I never tire of talking about myself.
Yeah, maybe we should... I'm just going to ignore that lady over there. So tell me about the Imperium.
I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
Ah, yes. Everyone outside the Imperium always seems quite fascinated by it. Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrathous. It's madness. All right, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings.
Well,
I digress. Anything in particular you wanted to know?
let's see. Oh, I can actually ask a lot about that. So, do mages truly rule there?
It seems strange that an entire empire would be ruled by mages.
I find it strange that your mages don't rule anything at all. Actually, the fiction in the Imperium is that mages don't rule. The Magisterium rules. That magisters are all mages is considered a convenient technicality.
I see. So, what's the Magisterium?
What is the Magisterium, exactly?
The upper house of the Imperial Senate, and the only part worth having a seat on. Those seats are split among the circles of Magi, the Chantry, and the major families. All mages now. It's odd that outside the Imperium, you use Magister like it applies to every Tevinter mage.
And what are you then?
If you're not a Magister, then what are you called? No special title?
I'm an Altus, which is almost as good as a Magister, depending on who you ask.
And an Altus is what?
I've never heard of an Altus.
Upper class. Those families who trace descent from the Dreamers, the first prophets of the old gods. If you're a mage and you're not Altus, then you're later. Lower class. If you're not a mage at all, you're Soperati. That's everyone else. We do love our fancy words.
It's interesting. Apparently, the Tevinter language is quite obviously, inspired by Latin. As is probably the whole, the Tevinter Empire is inspired by the Roman Empire. So, what about the Archon?
I thought the Archon ruled over the Imperium.
Well, yes. Technically, he can overrule laws passed by the Magisterium, but that never happens. Even so, he gets to appoint new Magisters, which means all the families vie madly for his favor. Thus, the Archon gets invited to all the parties. The truest path to Tevinter influence, let me tell you.
All right. So, the mages do rule, in fact.
If it's a fiction, that means mages do rule then.
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Mages do rule, but not all mages are equal. If you're not from the right family, chances are you don't rule anything. Maybe you're even a slave. The idea that anyone could be a mage, however, keeps the masses placated.
And is that true?
Can anyone be a mage?
Technically, the potential runs mostly in bloodlines, but it's been known to happen. More importantly, commoners believe it can. Tevinter legend is chock full of mage heroes from humble origins. So they hold out hope. Someday my son or my son's son will be a mage. Someday. Poor sods don't realize that means he'll be a quaestor at the arse end of the 100 Pillars, at best.
Is that bad?
Being a quaestor isn't a good thing.
I imagine the average non-mage likes to think so. Counting numbers and shuffling papers all day is better than many occupations after all. If you're a second-class citizen among a pack of piranha, however, your outlook changes.
Yeah. It's interesting how different it is, though, because in these parts of the continent, people are more likely to hope that their child will not be a mage. So that's interesting. I want to ask something else.
Let me ask you something else.
Of course.
Let's see. So the Imperium has a chantry.
There's an Imperial chantry, isn't there? With its own divine.
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
And is it really that different?
Is the Imperial chantry so different from ours?
Not in theory. The main difference is in the whole magic is meant to serve man, not rule over him business. Back home, ruling the unwashed masses is serving them, for the good of the Imperium. Perhaps it started with good intentions, but these days it's academic. The circles are in command.
So you have circles.
There are circles of magi in the Imperium.
We don't have dismal little mage prisons, if that's what you mean. They're academies, prestigious ones. We have Templars as well, but they don't cancel spells or whatever your Templars do. They're soldiers.
Oh,
They
I
watch
see.
for abuse of magic, yes, but only those who are weak or who fall out of favor get dealt with. Mostly they enforce the Magisterium's edicts. The Chantry smiles and nods from the sidelines.
Well, that's interesting. So they do have Templars, but the Templars don't actually have any Templar skills. Well, that's interesting. So tell me about the Black Divine.
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
A disagreement?
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium believes Andraste was a mortal woman, a mage. Down south, they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side, divine provenance, a blah blah blah. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see.
I
So we
see.
elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
Right. So your divine is male.
So, the Imperial divine is always a man?
All the better to distinguish him from that other one, yes. Don't think there aren't a number of female magisters who bristle at that. Why can't they be divine after all? Same reason you never see a man on the Sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
I think I'm going to like you, Dorian. I think I'm going to like you. So are you religious?
Do you consider yourself Andrastian?
The big question. It might surprise you that I do consider myself Andrastian. I simply do not believe in the Chantry. It is a relic, whether back home or here in the south. Something from a bygone age desperately clinging to relevance. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
Well, I think she can actually fully agree with that.
I share your opinion, actually.
That's not surprising, considering what the Inquisition represents. I'll say this. I may not believe in the Chantry, but I believe in you.
In me?
Oh, really?
That the Maker sent you, whether through Andraste or fate.
Ugh.
Cassandra is not wrong. You are what we needed most at the moment we needed it. That's what they will say in ages to come.
You are a fool. Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'm not sure about that myself.
Doubt is good. I like doubt. It will keep you sane. Me? I've seen too much to believe I know everything. The world is bigger than I. Even bigger than you. It laughs at all the things we think we know. The Maker doesn't need me to believe. But I do. The thought of no one at all watching out for us is too frightening.
I see, so...
Let me
can
ask
I
you something else.
Something else.
So many questions.
Could Tevinter be an ally?
I'm wondering if the Imperium would be a useful ally.
I'd think you'd be more concerned whether or not they'd support the Venatori. They won't, of course. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly, many Magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls to chaos in the meantime, all the better.
Is that smart of them?
It would be in the Imperium's best interest to help. Surely it could use allies.
I think the Imperium gave up on the idea of allies a long time ago. We've been fighting the Qunari for what, 200 years off and on? It's a point of pride that we go it alone. They'll sneer at the South behind their silk handkerchiefs and say, "You've had it easy for far too long." Let's not forget that the Inquisition seems to be an arm of the Orlesian Chantry. Anathema so far as they're concerned.
But we are not.
We're not part of the Chantry. The Chantry opposed the Inquisition's formation.
You think that matters? Don't be silly. The Herald of Andraste. Your very title smacks of the Southern Chantry. You may as well be a heathen. I think they're far more frightened what you'll do if you succeed.
Well, I didn't ask for that title. So, what about blood magic?
Just how often is blood magic used there?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
That's what any Magister would tell you. They'd be convincingly offended by the notion too. Of course, what people call blood magic here, and what we consider blood magic, are two different things.
So what do you call it?
What's considered actual blood magic in Tevinter?
Blood magic isn't inherently dangerous. Using your own blood or that of a willing participant, what's the harm? The problem is that what's permitted only gets you so much power. And what if you need more? You always need more. That's where we get into sacrifices and demon summoning. None of that is done. Not officially. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. Real blood magic can give you an edge, a leg up against your opponents. It's safe to assume that any mage of rank does it. The rest are quietly shut out of power, to put it bluntly.
I see. And no Templar intervention. Well, how should they if they can't even, cancel spells and stuff like that?
You'd think the Templars would object.
I imagine they did, long ago. Once, their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut off. Too inconvenient. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. Most of them probably innocent.
And no one disagrees?
There must be some mages who oppose this.
Of course. I do. And I'm not entirely alone. Occasionally, there'll be a Magister who makes noise. And then the reform talk begins. All very patriotic. Meanwhile, that Magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, surprise, it's learned he was a Maleficar all along. Most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariahhood.
Alright. So yeah, and what about slavery?
Anyone who talks about the Imperium mentions slavery. It's the center of the slave trade.
Ah. That is true.
And did you have slaves?
Not personally, but my family does and treats them well. Honestly, I never thought much about it until I came south. Back home, it's how it is. Slaves are everywhere. You don't question it. I'm not even certain many slaves do.
So you're saying they like it?
You think slaves like it that way? Don't be ridiculous.
I didn't say they like it. It's all most of them know.
Yeah,
In the
that's true.
south, you have alienages, slums, both human and elven. The desperate have no way out. Back home, a poor man can sell himself. As a slave, he could have a position of respect, comfort, and could even support a family. Some slaves are treated poorly, it's true. But do you honestly think inescapable poverty is better?
I'm not sure if it's better. But at least they do have a choice.
At least they're free. They don't have slavery forced on them.
You think people choose to be poor and oppressed? I doubt
Yeah,
it.
that's true.
I don't know what it's like to be a slave, true. I never thought about it until I saw how different it was here. But I suspect you don't know either. Nor should you believe that every tale of Tevinter excess is the norm.
That's also true. So yeah, that's it.
That's all I wanted to know.
Fair enough.
Oh, have you seen Alexius?
Have you gone to see Alexius yet? He's in the cells.
Not yet, no. I saw him before they locked him up. He looked despondent, broken. Not the man I remember, nor the one I want to. I suppose the Inquisition will judge him eventually. I wonder if there's any chance they'll show him mercy. He hardly deserves it, but for Felix's sake. I can't help hoping there's something left of the man I once knew.
I see. I think we should let that woman leave. All right. Yeah, let's talk to him again.
Did you know we're actually related, Inquisitor?
Related?
Oh, really?
Oh, not first cousins or anything like that. Can you imagine? You're a Trevelyan, however, and somewhere in the dank nethers of my family tree, there was also a Trevelyan. Perhaps he was even the one who ventured to Ostwick to establish the branch. We are talking long ago, of course.
How do you even know that?
You know that off the top of your head?
Not the top. Maybe the lower middle or thereabouts. Bloodlines are serious business in Tevinter. You're taught lessons and tested by strict nannies.
I see.
I heard your family mentioned, and I had to go through all the old mnemonics, but yes, there it is. I knew there was a reason we looked so much alike.
Oh, really? We do? Well, I guess. We have a similar nose, I guess. So, can we still flirt?
I'd rather we weren't related. That might make flirting awkward.
Depends on which branch of the family you come from. Regardless, I think we're still good to go. By at least 3 ages.
Alright, fair enough.
I should go.
Try not to kill anyone without me. The Inquisitor's work is never done, I see.
Uh-huh. Well,
I
that's
should
enough.
go.
Try not to die. I would notice you were gone.
Okay, I think that I have spoken to him about everything that I can. So, yeah, special shipments. I checked this before starting the episode and there was nothing in it, so I don't think there will be anything in there now. So, yeah, there is still some time left in this episode, so I guess we should think about what we want to do next. Let me head back to the War Council and have a look at our options. Alright, yeah, my advisors are still all busy. So this would be the next thing for me to do. But,
we'll post soldiers a safe distance from the temple.
Our best guess at safe, anyway.
Alright, so this would be the next thing that I have to do in terms of story missions, but, I think we should do a little bit of exploration in between. Again, I'm not going to delay it too far, but a few episodes of doing some other stuff, would be nice. So we more or less finished the oasis. I think the most obvious thing that we can do is this mission down here. Rescue soldiers missing in Ferelden, because these soldiers have been waiting for a while. And we could also go back to the hinterlands, but maybe we do this afterwards for an episode or so, depending on how long this will take. But yeah, I think we're going to start this today and see what this is all about. So, Inquisition soldiers have gone missing in the marshy reaches of southern Ferelden. Because the region is largely uncharted, finding them will be difficult. but the Inquisition's advisors are determined to find out what happened and, if possible, bring their people back alive. I don't think it actually matters who I take for these options, so let's just do it. There we go. Rescue soldiers missing in Ferelden. The missing soldiers have been found in a bog called the Fallow Mire. They are being held hostage by Avar, who demand to meet the Herald of Andraste if the Inquisition wants to see its people alive again. Interesting. For some reason I always thought the Avar were extinct. Apparently not. Okay, let's venture forth. And I have a new big team. Well, we had Dorian in the last mission. Let's use some variety and bring a new team. Maybe Vivienne and Blackwall and Varric. And let's confirm. And Dorian Purvis. Cassandra Pentagast. Constellation Bellitanus.
Thank you for coming. Maybe you can solve this mess. Our missing patrols are being held hostage by Avar, barbarians from the mountains.
What are they doing in a bog?
That's the thing. Their leader, he wants them to fight you, because you're the Herald of Andraste.
But why?
What do they have against Andraste?
Well, the Avar think there are gods in nature, as in the sky has a god and the forest. The Avar say you're claiming to be sent by one, and they'll challenge the will of your god with their own. I think their leader's just a boastful little prick who wants to brag he killed you.
Well, that's fame for you.
Should I autograph something for him before he tries to behead me?
They think readings for the weak. You know, scholars, lowlanders, or legion peasants. Getting to our troops won't be easy. You'll have to fight your way through undead. Wait, you're not squeamish about undead, are you?
Hardly.
There are any corpses possessed by spirits?
Right. Nothing to fear. The Avar are holed up in the castle on the other side of the Fallow Mire. Make her willing, the Inquisition's people are still alive.
Alright. Well, this is another charming place. Okay, so let's have a look at this. It doesn't seem to be that big. We have one camp over here. Some warden stuff over here, and this is apparently where we need to go. Yeah, this doesn't seem to be that big. Very nice. I actually made some sort of, you know, plan on how to deal with these open world regions and how I want to edit them. Oh, look at that.
We'll need to look around.
Nearby. Yeah, thank you, Blackwall. So basically, whenever I enter a new region like this, then I will do the initial exploration entirely on camera, because I mean it's a new environment, new enemies, new stuff to discover. So I will do some free roaming exploration at first, and I will completely include that in my episodes. And then, you know, after that I kind of start the second stage, which will be, let's call it the business stage, because that's where we actually get down to business. And try to finish whatever the main quest or quests in that specific region are. In this case it would be this one, I guess. And I mean, it seems that normally you have a very specific mission before you're being sent into a place. So that is kind of the main mission that I want to finish. And at that stage I will do some minor editing, maybe, depending on what I encounter, like some random battles or backtracking through explored territory and stuff like that. And once we are finished the main mission, we basically have the third stage, which is kind of the cleaning up stage, in which I will explore the rest of the area, finish all the side quests. Ooh, I think that was lightning. That is truly lightning, and it struck twice at the very same spot. That is not good. So yeah, in the cleaning up phase, I will, you know, discover everything else, finish the side quests, close all the rifts, and all that stuff. And for that stage, I will only like include the highlights. So I think that's a good method to tackle these open world regions without spending too much time on them. I guess whatever I'm looking at is inside this hut. Short note. Helen, I won't be in tonight. Rupert said he had a surprise for me. He teased me by saying Lady Peasley, which he always does when he's trying to impress me by pretending he's not impressing me. Don't tell Mum where I am. I made fresh porridge in the red pot for both of you. I'll care for her tomorrow, I promise. Lucia. Oh, it's another bottle. Garbolg's Black Country Reserve, likely dropped to avoid seizure by authorities, or because of seizures due to drinking it. Garbolg only brewed from 874 to 892, blessed, killed when the vapors in his beard spontaneously combusted. Oh wow. Before Andrastianism, Forgotten Faith. This may actually be an interesting read, but I'll do it off camera. And an ornate silver necklace, a well-crafted silver necklace with an inscription. May your love endure, R. Alright. So, I think this is just the exit of the map. Yep, that's the exit. Okay, so apparently we have to go in this direction. But I think I'm actually going to end the episode here, because it is long enough now, and yeah, in the next episode I will try to make my way over to that camp and explore the vicinity a little bit. And I mean, this seems to be pretty straightforward. Since there are no more camps on the other sides of this map, I assume it is basically just this area that we need to uncover. So I hope we can finish our main mission relatively quickly. But we'll see about this. I do want to do a little bit of exploration and, you know, not just rush through all the quests and the regions. So it may take a little bit longer. Anyway, thank you for watching, and see you again next time.